Hey guys, hey everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. Thank you everybody for coming. I'm pretty excited today to talk about one thing that we've been working on, and obviously over the past few weeks, if you've attended any of the sessions, you've seen a ton of developments and kind of every single week we had a few things lined up that we were working on over the past few months before basically Christmas, and a lot of them have been coming finally to fruition, which we're very excited about and to show you. And the one thing that kind of ties in very well is we've gone over the past, basically, if you came to any of the other sessions, how to deploy your own custom token, your custom day token on Ropsten testnet. We've been through that. But what we're going to go through today is the biggest application of that. So we use that foundation in order to create our debt smart contract, which we saw always as our biggest application of the day token and then the day token technology. And so that is what we're going to be covering today. It's the alpha version, so please understand, right? This is not the end all be all, but it is our alpha version. And the one of the things that I wanted to say is please give me a quick hello into the question box. I want to just see who's in here. I do know a couple people from the community, so if you are, please do say and give us a quick hello, and we will definitely appreciate it. And I might also later on, I might, hey Alex, I might do something cool. I'll leave it towards the end of the call for those people that stay on regarding something else that we might be launching as well. But let's go ahead, let's jump into it. The first thing that I basically want to jump into is this PowerPoint, which is not only a PowerPoint, but it serves as the basis. It serves basically as the basis that hopefully will explain how everything works here. And what I will do is you can go there right now yourself. If you go to the link and /YouTube, then you will be able to go ahead and see all of our additional videos as well. But the the thing is, right, when you have debt, so when you have a loan, and debt, for anyone that doesn't know, is right just a fancy word for a loan. You potentially, usually in the traditional sense, when you look at finance, when you look at some investment banking houses and you have debt capital markets, and someone does a bond. Hey guys, sorry about that. I think there was some type of glitch that kicked everyone out of the room, including myself, shut down the webinar. Can everyone hear me? Can just double checking here. Just want to make sure that everyone can hear me. Give me a quick yes into that question box and also see my screen. We're gonna wait a minute or two just to make sure that everyone gets back in, because there were a whole bunch of people here, and were people kicked out? I'm just double checking. Give me a yes if you were. Just wanna that I'm not going crazy here. Okay. Apologies. I think there was some type of technical glitch. Potentially someone from my team accidentally ended the webinar, but it's okay. Just restarted it and it's fine. Just want to make sure that everyone else is joining as well, and they don't miss any part of the session. But the main thing that I was that I was discussing and I was covering is, right, when you look at traditional financial markets and the way that capital markets work, is you have this bond issuance. Let's say that GE goes out there and wants to issue a $500 million bond in order to borrow money from people in order to, I don't know, use the money to invest in some type of new plant or something, right? Whatever, it doesn't matter. But they're very complex, long agreements. Usually, 100 pages is not unusual. And what I'm trying to get at is that there are these agreements created by two parties that know each other. And so, but they still somewhat don't trust each other. So they use this legal framework that is enforceable in court in order to structure this agreement between the two parties. And so that it's black on white, in case there is any dispute, they can reference that agreement and then potentially go to court in order to make sure that everything is enforceable and either one party gets their money back or the other party is too abusive or whatever, right? On the blockchain, it's different. On the blockchain, it doesn't matter who those two parties are because it's trustless. And how do you create this in a trustless way? How do you put debt on to the blockchain? And how does that work, especially when these two parties don't trust each other and they might not even know who the other party is? And it actually doesn't matter. The thing is, the who the other party is doesn't necessarily matter because it's on the blockchain and can be trusted because it's enforced by that smart contract and by the rules of that smart contract. So when we first started in engineering this, of course, we wanted to make it on Ethereum and we wanted to make it ERC20. Why? Because there's usability for that. If we go with like another blockchain, I know, for example, some of the guys at EOS and Block One, or you go with something like Stellar. Well, that's great, but the usability isn't there. Most people, not even that many people, know Solidity. But when you look at something else and a different type of blockchain that is outside of Ethereum, well, people don't definitely aren't really familiar with it. And in order to get that mass adoption and make it as usable, we went ERC20 and made it with Ethereum. And then, so when you look at a token purchaser that borrows Ether, and one of the use cases, and I have no idea what these use cases are going to be, but when I was thinking about it, and when the entire team was thinking about it, we said, well, one of the practical applications is imagine you purchase some token. I don't know what's a token right now. There is going to be, maybe you want to purchase a token called I saw Singularity. Okay, so let's say Singularity, and maybe you still have your Singularity token that you purchased and you don't want to get rid of it. You have your AGI token and you still want to, you like it, you haven't maybe used it yet with the company or whatever it is, right? You don't want to necessarily get rid of it, but you're now low on Ethereum, you're low on Ether because you purchased that Singularity token. So now, in the next couple of weeks, let's say there's WePower, which is obviously, if you guys haven't followed the markets, that's right around the corner. And you want to participate, you want to buy some WePower tokens, but you don't necessarily want to get rid of your Singularity tokens. Well, what do? Well, that's one of, in my opinion, it made sense. Okay, someone doesn't want to sell their Singularity tokens, but they want to buy this additional token. Well, why not enter into this debt smart contract where they can borrow the Ether in order to purchase those WePower tokens and collateralize it with their Singularity tokens and not have to sell off their Singularity tokens, but instead pay an interest rate. And there's another party that comes in that is sitting on a whole bunch of Ether, and they are fine because they don't do anything with that Ether, so they're fine to lend that Ether out. Okay, they're very okay with lending that Ether out, and then earning maybe some interest on that Ether that they're going to be lending out, as long as it's repaid within, I don't know, 30 days, 60 days. It's collateralized by another token, maybe a singularity token that is of much higher value than the ether that they're lending out. So that's kind of how it works. Okay. Let's go ahead and talk about what we did here with Chronos and everything like that. So you have a platform for blockchain-based debt smart contracts. And we're going to go through the first iteration. I'm going to show you. Let's say that you're, you basically the borrower is going to, and not all of this is done. You'll see in the alpha version that it's the alpha version, so not all of these features are completely integrated, but the borrower seeds the address with sufficient token collateral. In this case, and I have Thiago on here with me on the call. Hey Thiago, how are you? Can you hear me as well? Hey Thiago. So just wanted to bring you on because you're going to be the lender today. You're going to lend me Ether, and I am the borrower. So as the borrower, I'm going to be the borrower. I need to seed the smart contract that I'm going to create with sufficient token collateral. So in the example when I was saying, let's say I have these singularity tokens, well, I'm going to need to put maybe, and I want to borrow 1 Ether, well, I might need to put 2 Ether worth of singularity tokens in order to seed that contract with sufficient collateral. Why? Why? Because there needs to be a penalty. This is trustless. There needs to be a penalty that the lender gets and collects in case I decide not to pay back that Ether plus the interest. And that collateral obviously has to be sufficiently higher than anything else, because otherwise it's kind of prone to scams, and additionally the volatility of the prices of both these tokens and Ether is extremely high. So it needs to be sufficiently sufficiently compensate the lender shall the borrower decide to not pay back that Ether. Okay, so we have debt right here. This is kind of the way that it works. I'm going to show it to you. And for example, you have you then have that Ether that the lender is going to send to the smart contract that instantly becomes accessible to the borrower. Okay, and what then happens is the lender then receives debt tokens that multiply over time. So, and why does the lender receive these tokens? Because these, and this is what uses our technology, is because those tokens kind of self-mint at a predetermined interest rate. And that way, the borrower knows how much they need to pay back in order to clear the obligation, plus interest. That's why it multiplies over time. So that's why there's that added interest, and why they grow and get cleared up and get multiplied over time. Okay. Additionally, what ends up happening is, well, then there's going to be payment back, and the borrower then sends back Ethereum in exchange for those debt tokens, and that signifies the clearance of that obligation. Now, Shell, let's say there's a 30-day loan period. I'm going to show you how all this works, and if the borrower doesn't pay back in that time, then the lender automatically receives the collateral. The collateral otherwise stays in the middle in the smart contract, but once it crosses over that boundary, automatically the lender receives the collateral. Trustless and decentralized. Now, one thing is there is no, this version doesn't require an oracle, because because the price of either the collateral or Ethereum doesn't matter, since it's a fixed time period. That does mean that the lender is exposed to the price fluctuations of that token. And should that token decrease in significant value, then it actually doesn't make sense for the borrower economically to even pay back the obligation. They'd probably just wait it out and let that let it go unpaid, because now the ether that they have is more valuable than the collateral that the lender will potentially receive. That obviously is going to be priced in to the interest rates, and we believe that the market and how that's going to work is going to price that in, and that's why there's going to be high interest rates on one hand, and on the other hand, the collateralization might be 2 times the amount of the ether that is going to be that is going to be borrowed. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to welcome you basically to the platform, and what I'm going to show you. And I actually realized that I wasn't sharing my screen, so I didn't realize that you guys didn't see all of these slides, but I was literally going through, right? We have this all mapped out, and I apologize because we have this all mapped out here, how it works, and the lender receiving the debt tokens that multiply over time with numbers, and borrower sending back Ethereum in exchange, the lender automatically receiving the collateral. So apologies about that. Maybe now it makes a little more sense. However, let's go ahead and does anyone want to see this in action? Give me a quick me into that question box, because that's exactly what we're going to do right now. Is I'm going to show you how all of that works, and what you can do is you could do it. You're going to be able to actually use it yourself too. So if you go to Alpha here, and I don't know if you guys have checked it out in the past couple of days, but if you have, then you'll see that we don't just have right here the custom token anymore, right? We have right here that debt smart contract. So if you click on this, make sure, number one, is everyone logged into MetaMask? Give me a yes into the question box if you are. I want to just double check that everyone is logged in to their MetaMask and it's Robston, because I want to show you the mechanics of this. Okay, I want to show you. I want to show you this right here, and right here. Check this out. You want to go to Robston testnet, and you will see how all of that works. Now, click here, debt smart contract, and you will see right here, connected. You're connected to the Robston testnet, and then press OK, and then you're going to press start. And Thiago, I just want to double check. I want to make sure that you're ready because you are going to be the lender today, and I'm going to have you share your screen in a few minutes as well. So just want to make sure, are you ready to rock and roll?
Oh yes.
Okay, perfect. So let's go ahead. Let's press start. There is going to be a fee, and this is right now. Remember, this is on Robston testnet. So if you don't have any testnet tokens, my team will drop the link into the chat regarding how the faucet and everything works. But it's pretty easy. Remember, under MetaMask, if you select buy, okay, if you select buy, remember, if you select buy right here and you select Robston testnet faucet, you can always get more Ethereum, because this is the fake Ethereum. It's the test. You just select request 1 Ether from faucet, and it's going to allow you to get 1 Ether from the faucet. Okay, and then there's also, if you don't have any day, then there's a way to do that. Once you press OK, it'll show you how it's done, even if you don't have any. Okay, for me, MetaMask pops up. I select submit to reserve that day, and token release status, great. gives me the transaction ID, and I can go ahead. I can go ahead and Sujit, that last comment, let's leave it till the end, but I will comment on that because you are seeing the exact same thing that we're seeing, and we could talk a little bit more about that towards the end. Okay, press OK. And then we have the token name. So let's go and let's call this, let's call it, Thiago Eric Det. Okay. And what's the symbol gonna be? Let's make it, Thiago, you want your own token? Okay, I'll give it to you. So THG is gonna be the symbol. We're gonna press continue. Now, what we're gonna do, this is one without any collateral. So right now, the place where it's at, the securitization by collateral is not yet integrated, but that is a feature that is obviously being worked on, because without the collateral part, it can't be trustless, and it doesn't. And then the real world applications are extremely limited at that point. That is going to be worked on and integrated into it. But if we go and we look at interest rate per cycle, so let's go ahead and let's say that your cycle, let's say the interest rate is going to be, I don't know, I'm going to put something around maybe 10, okay? And then your, basically, and right here, this is just semantics. This is how the team set it up. We haven't made these changes, but we're going to make these changes because it's a tiny bit confusing. But basically, the day, it's not really a day, it's a period, right? So long is each period, and you can denominate that in seconds. So what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to denominate it in seconds, and I'm going to make it 30 seconds long, okay? And then we're going to do loan maturity length in days, meaning these cycles. Let's make that, let me think about it. Let's hit 100, okay? So it's really only 30 minutes, but I don't think we're going to need more than that. And the reason I'm using these numbers is just to illustrate these points. So I'm speeding it up, because if I made the interest rate cycle actually 1 day long, then you wouldn't see this in action. But I'm compressing these periods to basically ridiculously small ones that wouldn't necessarily be used in real life, just to illustrate some of these points. And then interest cycle in days. So in these periods, we're gonna do it basically, we're gonna do 1, okay? And then let's go ahead, select continue. And then we have the lender address. Now remember, and I have this document here where I'm gonna have all these links. I can send them to you. So Thiago is the lender. He's gonna be lending me some ETH, okay? And so this is his address, and I'm gonna put his address in here. And how much is he gonna lend me? He is gonna be lending me, let's say, only 1 Ether, okay? Now, remember, this is important. Please write it down. What is my balance right here? It's 9.316, right? 9.316. It's important because we're gonna put borrower ETH balance before, okay? And I'm gonna put that in there, 9.316 ETH, just so I can illustrate it, just so we don't forget. And then let's put the exchange rate. Let's put it doesn't really matter, this exchange rate, but if we, let's put it at 100, okay? And I'll put it actually at 1,000. And so for the Ether that Thiago ends up sending, he's going to get 1,000 Thiago tokens, or THG tokens, I think I named them. So for 1 Ether, if he sends, he'll get that much as the exchange rate. So I press continue, and then I press deploy. And I need to submit. There's going to be obviously some gas and everything that it's going to cost. Okay, and then I have this transaction hash, and I can go check it out. Let's check out this transaction hash. Let me send this out to every person on here so that you can follow along. And that is the transaction hash. Okay, and let me just put this right here just so that we can keep track of it. That's not the contract, but it is the transaction hash right there. And then we're going to wait for it. And then we have the contract here, though. It's going to load contract data. I need to get that contract address. That is important, and I'm going to put it here. Okay, I'm going to send it out to everybody right here, this contract address. And now that I have this, what's gonna happen? Now that I set this up, Thiago, I think, can you lend me 1 Ether? Are you gonna be able to do that? And Thiago, if I can, then I will. Can I make you the presenter so that you can show what you're gonna do and how, as the lender, you're gonna enter into this transaction?
Sure, Eric.
Okay, let me go ahead. Let me make you the presenter. Hopefully you don't have any embarrassing things on your desktop.
Whoops, hang on,
Thiago.
I gotta close some stuff here.
Just joking. But
Okay, so
oh,
all right.
okay.
Now what I need here is the contract address. Did you send it out?
I sent it out to everyone. It was the last thing that I sent out. But I think you have it there.
90. Yes, here it is. All right. So this contract address is what I need to lend my ETH to Eric. So I'll get this. I just copied it. Now I go back to the Chronos dApp. I click Dev Smart Contract. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Once here, I will just click here and paste the contract address. Please note my MetaMask is unlocked on Rovstan and also with the correct address that was instructed to this particular contract. All right. Once I did that, click OK. Reload the contract info here. All right. Same info inserted there. I'm accessing the dApp. This is already on the Rovstan Ethereum network. All right, now what I have to do here is fund the contract. Once I click, it will prompt MetaMask and send through the smart contract directly to Eric's wallet this 1 Ether. Let's do it. Okay, says it's funded.
Okay.
Let's check
Perfect.
it out.
Thank you so
I'll
much.
send this to everyone here.
Please do send that out, and I'll take the screen right now if that's okay.
No worries.
Okay. Pretty simple. We're just going slow as well, just to make sure that everyone is following. And is everyone still following along? Is everyone still following along? Just want to make sure. Okay. So the next thing is that I want to do is, in a little bit, let's see how much. I'm gonna show that to you. So first of all, number one, this is Thiago's. This is right Thiago's address. He has 1,000 Thiago tokens here, right? THG. He has 1,000 of them, and that's because he entered into that contract, and so he got those 1,000. And not only does he have 1,000 there, and it shows right there on the Etherscan, but he doesn't have his ETH anymore. And guess what? If I look under my MetaMask, I now have 10 ETH instead of 9, because automatically that ETH was sent to me. So that's literally how it works, right? Thiago just goes, sends the ETH off, he has the tokens, and it's pretty simple. It's pretty simple in that regard. Now, let's go ahead and let's do a few things. And the things that I want to do are, I want to show you what are the next steps. How does this work after this? What about now if you want to pay back this obligation? What about if you want to do some other things with it? How do you do all of those things, and how does that work? Well, that is definitely a very, very good question. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna show you how that works. And it's pretty simple. The one thing that I want to do before we go into that, I want to just make sure that this is correct. Okay, perfect. Okay. So you go and you are going to go back right here to this page, and then you press refund. Okay, and that's it. So when I'm ready to pay this back, I just press refund. Refunding the loan, and accrued interest is going to be 1 ETH, and I press OK. I press submit. Loan refunded. And what's going to happen? Well, let's check it out. In my MetaMask, in a few seconds, I'm going to have, again, 9 ETH. And once I have 9 ETH, then Thiago is going to, again, have a little bit more when it comes to his balance in his address. Okay, so that's how it works. Let me just make sure. It's gonna definitely take a few seconds. And okay, check it out. This is Thiago's address now. Check it out. His address has the Ether again, but what happened to the number of tokens that he has? Well, the 1,000 Thiago tokens left his wallet because the obligation was cleared. All right, so that's how this mechanism works. We wanted to show that to you, and the cool thing is, you can use this yourself. You can play around with it, play around with alpha. If you want to submit any feedback, then that is fine as well. And I see a couple very good questions, so I'm going to start taking a few of these questions. One of these questions is Carlo. He said, will this be possible with Tether in the future? That is something that we're going to look into. It is the plan. The thing is, I don't know currently what the status of having an ERC20 Tether is, but obviously that would be pretty cool because Tether is pegged to USD and actual currencies that are less volatile, which then makes this also a much easier framework to use, because you are able to then let's say do it and borrow in US dollars and or in other fiat currencies, because you borrow the Tether, but you're able to then leverage a smart contract like this and seed it with, for example, Ether collateral, and that's a cool way to do it and make it happen. So that is, like I said, that is one of the things that we are heavily going to be looking into, because usability is obviously going to be very important regarding all of this. Let me see. Let me see. And Bo, regarding regarding the interest, I believe I might have done it too fast. But what I'm gonna do is next time when we show this, I'm gonna play around with it a little bit more, and then as well show you another iteration of it, and as well how the interest accrues and things like that. Okay, let's Alexander, yeah, you can lend to yourself. I don't know why you would do it, because because you need to lend yourself something, so it's gonna cost you gas. So I don't know how you would do it. The other thing is, I know some people asked about, hey, what's the role of the day token? So in order to access this, obviously there's going to be some type of access payment in day, number one. Number two, the first iteration is going to be where things are going to be actually seeded and collateralized, and that's going to be what the first collateralization is going to be in day. And most likely, this is not a hard commitment, but most likely we're going to do in the future that either you can collateralize one of these in day and basically use it without paying any upfront day to access this, or if you want to collateralize it with something else outside of day, then you would have to go ahead and you would then have to pay some type of access fee that would be as well in day, because day is going to be powering obviously this ecosystem as well. Gustavo, will this work with the EOS platform when Block 1 launches in July? No. We aren't developing on top of EOS at this moment, and not too familiar with the technical. I am very familiar with EOS, but I'm not too familiar, unlike with Solidity, which we are very familiar with. So at this point, no. Okay, Gustavo, that is to be determined. Sujit also asked about what's the relationship and is Tosh involved? Number one, is Tosh involved with Polymath? Sujit, Tosh is not involved. He was a very low level, I would say, advisor to Polymath, and I don't know if low level was the right word, but meaning like a couple upfront. I know he advised, did a little bit of advisory work, but he is not actively advising Polymath. Secondly, though, myself, I am as well an advisor, a pretty significant advisor to Polymath. And although there is, and then the team leadership want to keep an arm's length relationship, one of the big reasons that I wanted to get involved in the project is because later on, right now with this, and you see that this is basically trustless peer-to-peer lending, but on top of that, I think a big use case is going to be tokenized debt, and when big companies want to actually issue securities on the blockchain. Obviously, Polymath is paving the way and doing some revolutionary things with that. Polymath regarding securities on the blockchain in the first iterations, those securities are not going to be debt securities. They're going to be mostly mostly equity securities and tokenized equity, or something along the lines of T0, which is not tokenized equity, but it's more along the lines of tokenized preferred stock, if you can call it, with a type of revenue share agreement. Is that in the future, I do see a very significant angle there regarding tokenized bonds and actual securities that might require a level of KYC or something that aren't completely peer-to-peer, but that big corporations and companies can use and put on the blockchain in the future. So that's what I'm excited about. I don't see that as even potentially in 2018. I see that the debt side of things regarding like actual real debt securities on the blockchain, probably maybe end of 2018, maybe 2019. But those are things that get me obviously very excited, and I love talking about this, and could probably talk about it all day long. Okay, so yeah, so Craig, that was one of the things that we were actually talking about in this week's. Craig said, "Hey, is there going to be a forum where users can find counterparties for their borrowing and lending?" Yeah, and of course that's one of the things we talked about in this spring. It's a little bit of ways off, but yeah, we do want to do that because obviously, otherwise, who's going to find your debt? If someone's looking for deals and they want to lend out ETH at good terms and earn some interest on it, then there needs to be a place where they go to in order to enter into those deals and into those obligations. So yeah, we do plan on doing that, so that then later on people can look at it, search for different deals that they find interesting, and they can enter into them. And they can do that. They can do that as well. And my type of assumption is this. I think, and I don't know, because it's like with Ethereum. Ethereum is released into the wild. No one knows Vitalik. If you asked Vitalik, I'm sure he would have never said, "Oh, one of the big use cases is going to be token sales, and that's going to be a huge use case of Ethereum." But people started building on top of Ethereum, these tokens and everything. So I don't know what the market's going to do, but I think my prediction is that it's going to be very short-term debt agreements, let's say around 30 days, and people are going to borrowers or lenders aren't going to really feel comfortable entering into agreements because of the volatility, unless it's something that's tether based, but that currently doesn't exist. So my assumption is that they're going to be short term, and still the interest rate is going to be pretty high, right? Because probably maybe around 10% for 30 days. Who knows? Maybe even 15%. I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but I'm very curious what it is going to end up being, and I think they're going to be more micro types of loans. Although I would like to see some bigger ones, and yeah, that's the way that I see it. Okay, and is the data the yeah, Alexander, I think that should be fine. Okay. Any other questions before we wrap this up? The last, and actually two more things. The other thing that I want to show everyone here is the project that we're supporting, and this project is the Ethereum alarm clock, and this is going to be. I'm very excited about this as well. Let me show this to you right here. Check this out. So here are some wireframes that I just want to high level quickly run through. and what we're also looking at doing. So this is the DApp that we're going to be building out for the Ethereum alarm clock. And there's going to be these different time bounties to call these contracts and to be able to schedule out transactions. And obviously, as well, we're planning on involving. We're trying to, as much as possible, to involve the day token in this. And I don't want to get too into it. I want to keep it more as a surprise. But once we get this out, I am pretty excited about that moving forward. Okay, so that's another thing that I wanted to cover, and then lastly, and I'm gonna do this as a quick type of let's say bounty type of deal. Is we're gonna set aside right now 100. It's going to be 100 day tokens, actual day tokens, not Robston day tokens, and we're going to run a bounty program. So basically, and this could be for literally anything, right? But contributions to the community. So I've seen a couple people that have been stepping up, and they've been doing really well. They've been basically very, very active. They've been contributing, and we want to keep an arm's length relationship. But basically, the person that I see contributing the most, and this can be in different ways, different ways, any type of way, whether it's in Slack, whether it's on Reddit, whether it's I don't know, creating some type of content and getting the word out there, or anything else. Then at the next webinar, that's what we're going to do, is we're going to award that, and we are going to be awarding those day tokens to that person. Okay. Yeah, Sujit. So we are going to be looking at different blockchains in the future, but that's not on the agenda right now. And the reason is that this is more further into, just because, again, Ethereum has the most critical mass and adoption, and we want there to be usability as well. Okay. And regarding how many day tokens it will cost, I'm not sure yet. That decision has not been made just yet. Okay. And yeah. So guys, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. We really appreciate it. Have a fantastic rest of the day. We're going to be doing another, we'll probably do one maybe next week. We also need to have a launch party. So once we get the date from HIT BTC regarding the day of listing, then I'll probably do a webinar on that day to have a launch party. Okay. And everyone's going to obviously everyone's going to be obviously invited as well. And yeah, that's about it. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Have a fantastic rest of the day, and thank you for attending. Bye-bye.